I had everything: private jets, penthouse views, and $3 billion in my bank account. But the truth, I was the loneliest man on earth. That is, until a cleaning lady named Sarah walked into my office and showed me what it really means to be rich. I stood there on the 70th floor of my Manhattan penthouse, looking out at the glittering city lights that stretched endlessly into the darkness. From up here, the world looked small, controllable. The same way it looked from my private jet, the same way it looked from every exclusive place my billions could buy me access to. But you know what's funny? The higher I climbed, the more alone I felt. If you've ever felt wealthy in things but poor in heart, this story is for you. Subscribe and turn on notifications because today's story will change how you look at success forever. I had everything the world told me to want. 3 private jets, a garage full of supercars, walls lined with Picassos and Monets, 24-hour assistants catering to my every whim. Yet every night, when I came home to my marble palace, the echo of my footsteps reminded me I was utterly, completely alone. My contacts list had thousands of names, but not one person I could call at 3 a.m. just to talk. My bed was king-sized, but I only took up a corner of it. My refrigerator was stocked with the finest foods in the world, but I couldn't remember the last time I shared a meal with someone who cared about me, not my money. Success, I thought I had mastered it. Little did I know, I was about to learn what it truly meant when a woman with nothing but wisdom and heart would challenge everything I believed about wealth, love, and what makes life worth living. I built my first company when I was 23. Just me, a laptop, and an idea that seemed crazy to everyone else. 5 years later, I sold it for $500 million. By 35, I'd started 6 more companies. My net worth hit $3 billion before I turned 40. People call it the American dream. I call it the American nightmare. You see, the more successful I became, the more I disappeared. Every morning, I woke up to a schedule managed by someone else. My assistant picked my suits, my chef planned my meals, my driver knew my routes before I did. I lived in a bubble of efficiency where genuine human interaction became extinct. Board meetings filled with yes men. Charity galas where everyone wanted a selfie with the tech billionaire. Dates with women who researched my favorite wines on Google before even learning how to pronounce my last name. I worked 18-hour days because work was the only place I felt alive. Not happy, alive. There's a difference. When you're making decisions that affect thousands of employees, millions of customers, when you're negotiating deals worth hundreds of millions, the adrenaline keeps you going. But when you leave the office, silence. A silence so loud it makes you want to scream. My marriages failed not because of other women, but because of her success. She demanded all my time, all my energy, all my soul. My first wife said I loved spreadsheets more than her. My second wife said I valued stock options more than our conversations. They were both right. I had private clubs where I was treated like royalty, but no one there knew my favorite movie or what made me laugh. I had vacation homes in Aspen, the Hamptons, St. Bart's, but I spent more time in them alone than with anyone else. I collected cars, art, watches, all perfect things that never asked anything of me, never needed anything from me. They were safe. People weren't. Every night, standing on my balcony with a $50,000 bottle of whiskey, I'd wonder, is this it? Is this what I worked so hard for? A perfect life that felt empty. A successful existence that felt meaningless. That's when I started staying late at the office. Not for work. I could have done everything from my home office. I stayed because at least the building felt alive during the day. The hum of activity, the energy of people working toward something. But as night fell and everyone went home to their families, their lives, their real connections, I remained. The king of a corporate castle, but still just a prisoner of my own making. Then one night changed everything. It was 2:17 a.m. on a Tuesday. I remember the exact time because I'd been staring at my watch for the past hour, watching minutes crawl by in my empty corner office. The city never slept, but my building, with its 52 floors of ambition and anxiety, felt like a tomb after midnight. That's when I heard her humming. At first, I thought I was imagining it, a soft melody floating through the air vents, something I hadn't heard in my world of silence and sterility. I followed the sound like a moth to flame, down the marble corridor, past the expensive art installations, until I reached the cleaning supply closet. There she was, Sarah Washington. Not that I knew her name yet. She was mopping my office floor with a rhythm that seemed choreographed to her humming. She wore the building's standard blue cleaning uniform, her hair tied back in a practical ponytail. But there was something about her, an energy, a presence, that filled the room more than my $30,000 Herman Miller desk ever could. "Oh, Mr. Davidson, I'm so sorry. I didn't know anyone was still here. I'll come back later," she said, already turning to leave. "No, please, stay." The words came out before I could stop them. I like the humming." She paused, surprised. In my world, people didn't pause. They executed commands immediately. But Sarah Washington looked at me, really looked at me, not at my Armani suit or my Patek Philippe watch, not at my title or my bank account. She saw something in my face that even I couldn't name. "That's Etta James," she said softly. "At last. My grandmother's favorite song. She used to say music made work feel like dancing." We talked for 20 minutes that night. Just talked. About music, about how she started at 3 a.m., when everyone else was asleep because it was peaceful. About how she had 2 jobs and 2 kids to support. About how she found joy in making things clean and orderly, bringing light to dark spaces. I hadn't had a conversation like that in years. No one asking about my portfolio. No one pitching ideas. No one positioning for advantage. Just 2 humans talking about life. When she left that night, I realized something profound. In 30 seconds, she'd given me more genuine attention than I'd received from my last 3 ex-wives combined. I started finding reasons to work late every Tuesday and Thursday. Not that I'd admit it to anyone, even to myself. But slowly, I began to understand what I'd been missing all along. Not someone to impress with my success, but someone to share my simply human moments with. Our late-night conversations became my lifeline. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I'd watch the building empty out, then linger in my office, pretending to work while my heart raced with anticipation. At 2 a.m. sharp, I'd hear her humming, and something inside me would unclench. We talked about everything except business. She told me about her daughter Maya's spelling bee, about her son Jerome's basketball dreams, how she worked as a home health aide during the day, caring for elderly patients, then cleaned offices at night, just to make ends meet. She spoke about her grandmother raising her after her parents died in a car accident when she was 12. One night I asked her, "Sarah, doesn't it bother you? Working so hard and still struggling?" She set down her mop and looked at me with those clear brown eyes. "Struggling? Sir?" "Please, call me David," I interrupted. No one called me by my first name anymore. "David," she started again, "I've got 2 healthy kids, a roof over our heads, food on the table, and a job that lets me listen to music all night. Many people can't say the same. My grandmother taught me to count blessings, not dollars." Her words struck me like lightning. I'd spent 20 years counting dollars, and where had it gotten me? Alone in a penthouse, counting the hours until I could hear someone else's humming. But our worlds couldn't be more different. While Sarah worried about her son's shoes being too tight, I'd just bought my 4th car that year. While she carefully budgeted for groceries, I spent more on dinner alone than she made in a week. The contrast haunted me. Then the whispers started. My executive assistant noticed I was staying later. Security mentioned the unusual interaction with cleaning staff. At a board meeting, Someone made a joke about how I must be getting very particular about office cleanliness lately. One Thursday night, my closest friend, if you could call him that, pulled me aside after a charity event. "David, I'm hearing things about you and some cleaning woman. People are starting to talk." "Talk about what?" I asked, genuinely confused. "Come on, man. You're a billionaire. You can have any woman you want. Supermodels, actresses, CEOs. Why are you slumming it with the help?" Something in his words made my blood boil. The help? Sarah, who taught me more about life in 6 months than all my Ivy League professors combined? Sarah, who treated everyone with dignity while people like my friend looked right through service workers? That night, waiting for Sarah, I made a decision. I didn't care what people thought. For the first time in my life, I was feeling something real, something worth more than stock options or private jets. When Sarah arrived, I was different, more present, more authentic, and she noticed. "You okay tonight, David? You seem lighter somehow." "I think I'm finally starting to see clearly," I told her. "Sarah, you've changed something in me. These conversations, they're more valuable than any deal I've ever made." She smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. "Sometimes the most expensive things in life are free, David. Kindness, connection, understanding. You just got to have eyes to see them." Looking back, I realize that was the moment I fell in love. Not with a cleaning lady, but with a teacher who happened to hold a mop. The judgment intensified when I finally took Sarah out for dinner. It was supposed to be simple, a thank you for our conversations. But the moment we walked into the Oriole, one of Manhattan's most exclusive restaurants, the stares began. The hostess couldn't hide her shock. The sommelier stuttered. Other diners whispered behind menu cards. Sarah handled it with grace I'd never witnessed. She complimented the decor, asked thoughtful questions about the ingredients, and spoke to the waiter as an equal. Meanwhile, my face burned with embarrassment, not because she was black or because she was in work clothes, but because I suddenly saw my world through her eyes. How superficial it all was. How judgmental we were. When my business acquaintance, Charles, appeared at our table with his model girlfriend, the tension thickened. "David, fancy seeing you here. And this is..." "Sarah," I said firmly. "A friend." Sarah extended her hand. "Nice to meet you." Charles shook it limply, his eyes scanning her simple dress and sensible shoes. After he left, Sarah put down her fork. "David, I think I should go. I'm ruining your evening." "No," I said, reaching across the table. "You're saving it. You're saving me. These people, their opinions don't matter." Sarah invited me to her world, and it was more vibrant than any restaurant I'd ever visited. Her tiny apartment in Brooklyn hummed with life. Kids' drawings taped to walls, books stacked everywhere, the smell of simmering spices. We'd drive out Saturday mornings, me in my Bentley, Sarah carrying grocery bags filled with supplies for her community center. In her neighborhood, I discovered actual community. Not networking events with business cards, but neighbors who knew each other's birthdays, who shared recipes, and checked on elderly residents. Mrs. Johnson next door taught me how to play dominoes. Mr. Pete at the bodega started greeting me by name. Sarah's kids treated me like a regular person, not some financial deity. Jerome challenged me to video games, while Maya asked me to help with her math homework. For the first time in decades, I colored within the lines, built pillow forts, and learned that Beyoncé is way cooler than Mozart. I started seeing problems differently. In boardrooms, I'd ask, how does this affect the Sarahs of the world? I pushed for better wages, better conditions for our service staff. My board thought I was having a midlife crisis. I was having an awakening,